another episode of Fat City Spinout by Fat City Vinyl. Yours truly. My name is Doug if you're new here. Thanks for tuning in. This is my series of videos of recent arrivals to the music collection, listens from the shelves, what have you, various genres, usually some reggae in the mix. Before I get started on today's records though, I want to make a special mention. I woke up this morning and checked my channel and I had hit 1,000 subscribers. Very gratifying, very honored and humbled to see that. I started my channel in spring of 2015, if I recall, 6 years ago. This coincided with a period when I'd been getting deeper and deeper into music. I'd always been kind of a collector, but I was starting to broaden my horizons, explore other genres I hadn't gone too deeply into. There was one particular large record collection I was buying a bunch of things out of. My wife had kind of put the idea in my ear that I should start my own channel based on the ones I was watching on YouTube already, where I was starting to comment on other people's videos and things like that. I kind of laughed it off at first, and then the idea started to percolate that maybe I could start my own channel and maybe contribute something to the ongoing discussion that was going on about music. So long story short, I did do that. I didn't even tell anybody at first. I thought maybe 5 or 10 people would watch. Lo and behold, it's 6 years later and I've hit 1,000 subscribers. In the meantime, many people that started out before or around the same time or after me have disappeared, dropped out. Some are still around. Some I am honored to consider friends to this day. Thank you guys who have supported me for a very long time. It's been a kind of a long haul building up this channel. You get periods where it doesn't seem to be growing, nothing's happening. You put a lot of energy and enthusiasm into videos and then they don't do very well. Which brings me to that last video I did, the Dub Chronicles album review. Thanks everybody who watched that one. That was one I wasn't really even gonna do. I was inspired to do it and I put a lot into it. So thank you everybody who watched that one. Those are the kind of videos I want to do now. I don't want to ever phone in a video. I don't want to jump on the contest entries or the threads or the tags that everybody else is doing just because I think I should do it. I want to do the videos that I'm moved, that I'm engaged with and wanting to do. So thank you everybody who has supported. 1,000 subscribers, hopefully it's still at that as you see it. It tends to dip up and down when you hit those kind of milestone numbers. And not that it's all about numbers. It's about fun, it's about sharing music you're enjoying, you're enthused about, but it is kind of gratifying to see that people are watching, that people are appreciating the content you're putting out and that it is growing to some extent. So thank you guys, humbled, honored, a big salute from Fat City Vinyl to you guys. Welcome back everybody. Coming in with some lush, swelling strings and the wistful, romantic vibraphone of Milt Jackson here on the Sunflower album. Came out in the early 1970s, recorded over 2 days in 1972 at the home of Rudy Van Gelder. Milt Jackson, veteran jazz vibraphone player, member of the Modern Jazz Quartet, here with a solo date for Creed Taylor's CTI label. Found this on my recent trip into the city, the record shops. Found this in the cheap bins for $5. Nice shape. Had a few stickers on the cover I was able to take off from a former owner. Gatefold copy. Milt Jackson on vibes here with a all-star band, to put it at the very least. Herbie Hancock on keys, Freddie Hubbard on horns, the redoubtable Ron Carter on bass, Billy Cobham on drums. Only 5 songs on this album. This is the first one, called For Someone I Love. Starting to build up the tempo now. This has kind of a thick, viscous, kind of languid summer feel. It's going well as the sun comes out, the weather's starting to get nicer. Find I'm gravitating toward jazz this time of year. Some discordant notes starting to come in. Bit of a tempest, a summer storm, if you will. Posted this on Instagram. I actually got it liked by Ron Carter himself. He's checked out a couple of my posts before. Mostly wistful and romantic through most of this album, with kind of an extended string section for a fuller sound. This one gets into a bit of a summer storm midway. Billy Cobham starts crashing in with the drums. Has something of a feeling of the Gershwin standard Summertime to me. Sounds like not far removed from that kind of territory. Speaks to me of longing, regret in this piece. Keeping it on the jazz tip. Some listens from the collection recently. A while back, my friend John over at 6 Inch Pianist was mentioning Joe Thomas, the jazz player. Ended up pulling out my couple of records by him. Coming Home, it's from the late 1960s. Cobblestone label. Former DJ copy. Got both of these records out of the same collection I was buying from quite a few years ago. Huge former DJ collection. Joe Thomas, multi-instrumentalist. Here he's on flute, kind of a soul jazz setting, with covers of Quincy Jones' Soul Bossa Nova. Coming Home Baby, best known maybe by Herbie Mann. Nice soul jazz outing here. It's the most intense piece on this album. This is kind of the thick summer storm of the afternoon. The rest of the album is more the fresh, kind of dewy, early summer morning. Starting to cool it down now. Also got Masada by Joe Thomas from a couple years later. Funky cover. Here he switches to saxophone instead of flute from the earlier one. Dig that outfit. This finds him with a lush, kind of a disco-oriented sound. Don't know why he called it Masada, after the famous event of ancient history where a Jewish town sacrificed itself. The entire town committed suicide rather than submit to a Roman army. But Masada, lush disco grooves. Title track kind of is a bit reminiscent of the OJ's Backstabbers. And that is on the Groove Merchant label. Again, both these records from the same former DJ collection. Coming in with some dub now. Another find for my recent trip to the city. Found this in the new arrivals bin in the used section at one shop. This is the Roots Radics band with Dub Fijanjo. This came out around 2000. Roots Radics band was the top flight session band that set the tempo of reggae in the early part of the 1980s. And they were heavily associated with an up-and-coming producer named Henry Junjo Laws, who was then firing on all cylinders with a prolific series of productions of various artists. And much of the musical backing was done by the Roots Radics. The two kind of made their names together. Dub Fijanjo. This came out, as I said, around 2000 on the Wall Boomers label. Was old tracks they excavated from the vaults, given a new contemporary mix by studio engineer Gaylord Bravo, who's in more recent years worked closely with Sly and Robbie and Guillaume Bougard's Taboo One label, which this also appeared on. This copy's on the Wall Boomers label, out of Netherlands, I think. Henry Junjo Laws, right there at center, with the army hat on. Bad man producer, was shot dead in London in 1999, hence this tribute album of dub tracks by the Roots Radics, who included Style Scott on drums, the great Style Scott, who was a member of the Jamaican Defense Forces, had a very militant, crisp tone to his drumming. Went to England and worked heavily with Adrian Sherwood. Style Scott, unfortunately, fell victim to violent crime himself in 2014. A couple other reggae finds on the same trip into the city. Black Man's Pride from Soul Jazz Records. This came out in 2017. Double LP set, concentrating on the Roots side of Studio One label, the Studio One label that Soul Jazz Records have worked quite closely with over the years. Double LP set. There's 2 further volumes of this I haven't gotten yet. Heard a lot of good things about this series. In the usual Soul Jazz style, this mixes some deep collector obscurities with more reasonably well-known songs. And also, I picked up, I was surprised to find this one in the bins. This is a Japanese compilation of sides, early sides from Ras Michael and the Sons of Negus, here credited as the churchical host of the Sons of Negus, but it's Ras Michael. His voice, very distinctive, definitely in the forefront. These are very early singles that he recorded with the Sons of Negus, put out by the Dub Store Records label out of Japan. This came out around 2016, I think. Kind of been meaning to pick up this one, but it happened to turn up in the bins for quite a reasonable price compared to what these Japanese reissues usually go for. So I was pretty happy to snag that one. Very early 45s recorded by Ras Michael and the Sons of Negus with a very sparse, very hushed mood of devotion as the group sings, chants, and drums its way through hymns of devotion to His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie I. Ras Michael and the Sons of Negus would go on to many albums incorporating more traditional reggae instrumentation, recording the celebrated Dadawa Peace and Love LP, which has become quite a crossover touchstone, I guess you would say. I see a lot of people reference that one, but very, very early sides by him, very sparse, very skeletal, no concession to any sort of crossover, just very devout early sides by Ras Michael and the Sons of Negus. Very happy to add that one to the collection. Back with some Brazilian music now. A very different arrangement of Bill Withers' Ain't No Sunshine. Here with a bit of a Sergio Mendes Brazil 66 flavor with the female vocals. The artist is called Sivuca. This is a new arrival. Original release 1973. Real Gone Music reissue. You could be forgiven perhaps for thinking this is a Grizzly Adams LP. If you know that TV character from the 70s, the Mountain Man. He is actually Brazilian. Severino Dias de Oliveira is his name, nicknamed Sivuca. Multi-instrumentalist, guitar, accordion, vocals. Artist I was first introduced to through this LP. I showed in a video a couple of years ago. I think that's his accordion. He's making it sound like a washboard, if you can hear that. First discovered Sivuca through this LP, thrift store find I showed a couple of years ago. I needle dropped it at that time. This was a collaboration with Sivuca, Oscar Brown Jr., and his wife Jean Pace. It's a soundtrack to a musical, kind of a Afro-centric meets Brazil musical meeting. Cheap heat here. You can get this very inexpensive. It's fantastic. Mix of soul with a very Brazilian flavor provided by Sivuca on accordion. Joy soundtrack, came out around 1970 on RCA. So when I heard about this Real Gone Music reissue, I was kind of interested to check it out. Original's kind of hard to come by. Sivuca was born in Brazil, began recording very early 1950s, moved through various albums, various groups, came to the US, was in Miriam Makeba's band for quite some time, shortly before joining Oscar Brown Jr. for that Joy soundtrack. Somewhere around the time of this, he would also link up with Hugh Masekela. Sivuca, lots of Brazilian kind of folk melodies on here, bossa nova grooves, light vocals here and there, just great stuff. Lots of different styles of Brazilian music, and this is a Real Gone Music reissue on marbled kind of forest green vinyl. Originally came out on the Vanguard label. Sivuca. Very nice album. Okay guys, that's what I've got for you today. You'll probably be seeing me sooner rather than later. Got quite a backlog of things to share with you guys. Records are coming in, things are happening. Fat City Vinyl is on the move for 2021. It's looking to be a long, hot summer. It's already roasting out there today, so it's gonna be a good one. And there's gonna be lots of good tunes to share with you guys. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all your support. And cheers.